So number one, we do know that veterans have an enormous problem with opiate use in general. They have one of the highest rates of opiate addiction per group. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean all of them are using fentanyl or using some, exorbitant opioid. But because of their physical injuries, because of their mental states, they are continually being prescribed these medications. And, on one hand, I'm going, okay, how do you not give it to them? Type of a thing.
You're going to need an opioid if you're missing a limb. It's
right?
Pretty understandable.
Right? It's pretty understandable.
This is the Don't Hide the Scars podcast, presented by PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need.
I'm Jason LaChance, Media Director here at PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need. To my far left, founder of PAIN, Flindt Andersen. How are you, good sir?
Jason, good to be here again.
And to my immediate left, Outreach Coordinator Julian Carvajal.
Yes, sir.
Looking dapper as always, I tell you. I couldn't have worn it better myself. We've got something exciting we're talking about. This is a different calling, and it's really honored that we're going down this path, and that Flindt, you said this is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing.
Fill the listener watcher in.
Well, I want to say a month ago or so, all of us went to the. We helped out our veterans, right, with handing out some Narcan, and it was a veterans affair that was going on where people would go out and they would talk to the veterans, try to get them cleaned up, get them some food, get them showers, get them into some housing if they possibly could. And we were called to bring in Narcan so we could at least start educating everybody on what this is and how it's going to help our vets. And so, again, I don't know about you guys, but it definitely had an impact on me, sitting there and watching. And again, I have to say, mostly it was men this time. But watching these vets, some walked in, some came in wheelchairs, some came in on crutches because they were missing limbs. They were not that they ever weren't, but they were some of the most decent people I've ever come across. And just down on their luck, and it was sad to see. It was sad to watch. And I don't know, I left there going, okay, what can we do? So number one, we do know that veterans have an enormous problem with opiate use in general. They have one of the highest rates of opiate addiction per whatever you want to call it, per group. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean all of them are using fentanyl or using some, exorbitant opioid. But because of their physical injuries, because of their mental states, they are continually being prescribed by the VA, these medications. And, on one hand, I'm going, okay, how do you not give it to them type of a thing.
You're going to need an opioid if you're missing a limb. It's
right?
Pretty understandable.
Right. It's pretty understandable. And so, but the other side of that coin again is, okay, now where's the help for these men and women? Because they're certainly not getting it from that side of the fence, so to speak. Yeah. And most of these vets, that's what they have. They have VA insurance. And there is not a lot of inpatient detox residential services for these veterans. So me and my crazy mind sometimes where there's a few squirrels going on up there, I thought, why can't we do something to help both the men and the women out here? I mean, and again, besides just going out in the street and going, oh, hey, man, I'm sorry that you're going through this. Hey, here's some Narcan. Let's show you how to use it, blah, blah, blah. All right, even though that is important. Yeah. But we need to be able to start giving them services. Yeah. I mean, and if it's not with the VA, then so be it. It's not with the VA. That doesn't mean that a veteran can't get scholarshiped into another treatment center somewhere. Yeah. Right? Yeah. So that's not kind of, that is our mission. That is what we are going for right now. And that's to give them both the detox, the residential, the outpatient services that go with it, and something new that just broke. I met with a gentleman yesterday who is willing to provide the housing.
Wow.
Yeah. Surprise, guys. I didn't tell you that one yet. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, he's all in. So, I mean, he's got 2 or 3 available right now.
Wow.
Houses?
Okay. So, but like anything else in today's world, we have to have the funding to be able to get these guys in there, because we do want to scholarship them in. You know, that house payment still needs to be made. Yeah. Those food payments still need to be made. The medical services still need to be paid. But now, and here's what I'm talking about, and I hope this doesn't, I don't know, upset too many folks out there. But these homes that we're going to be providing for these men and women, I'm sorry, they're not south of Belmont.
Yeah.
Okay? They're not.
Yeah.
They're going to be in some decent neighborhoods in this city. And it's about time that we start doing that. Because we all know, because we work in this, a lot of times when there's a sober living house, again, I'm not trying to put down other neighborhoods. That's not my intent here. But when you start putting sober living houses next to Fresno Community Hospital, okay, those are some neighborhoods you really don't want to be in.
Sure.
Okay, because no matter how you look at it, the truth is the truth, and there's drug dealers everywhere. But drug dealers aren't necessarily roaming the streets like they are roaming the streets in some of those other areas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So and why would somebody even want to get some help if they're living in an area of a city, and it's just not Fresno, but in an area of a city, right? That every time they walk outside, they're afraid.
Yeah.
That, I'm sorry, that's not right. That is not conducive to someone's recovery.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we had it in Merced, up by where I live. It was the only house on Main Street. It's the weirdest thing. Now it's owned by Top Hatters, which is a motorcycle club that came in, but it was the halfway house, and it was the weirdest thing because it's all businesses. The VFW is kind of almost, you know, catty corner across the street, but there's nothing. It was just this one lone house. Well, where are all the transients and the people that are getting? They're all on Main Street. It's gotten cleaned up some, and it's improving.
Right.
But that's where it was.
Right.
These people never got clean.
Right.
They were in and out and in and out. And
Right.
it's, wow, I'm really moved. I mean, I almost want to go. I don't know if you remember the gentleman we had dialogue with. He was just so polite, and yet he was just so hungry.
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, he's just like, can I have another oatmeal by chance? And you could tell this guy, he took Narcan from us. You explained to him what it is, and he sort of insinuated, oh yeah, I'm going to need that, if maybe not him, that some of whoever he was, you know, trying to stay on the streets with and stay safe, you know, because if people wonder a lot, I was asked recently, well, why is the meth problem so high for homeless people? What the hell are you going to do to stay awake so somebody doesn't accost you,
in your
stab
sleep,
you,
right?
Sexually violate you, take the little what you have? Well, you wonder why they have dogs. Those dogs fall in love with those owners.
Right.
You know, it's all these things. So you could just tell that guy had such a wonderful soul to him.
Right.
It's like to be able to give him an opportunity just to be in a different environment, and when we do start to find a different self-worth. You know, I know you went through the process, Julian. Our recovery is different. You know, as 12-step guy, treatment wasn't an option for where I was at in life, but you got to go through that, and you got to see how transformative that is, and this will be for those veterans.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember, this is years ago. There was it was an all women's live-in treatment program. And it was across the street from Roding Park in a hotel that you know was built in 1951. And it looked like it had been built in 1951. And it looked like the upkeep had been last done in 1951. And I remember, and I would go there once a week. It was a Tuesday night, and it was all women and their kids that lived there with them. And there was I mean, it was like an old hotel, so there had to have been 70 rooms, okay? But when you were driving up to the place, my first reaction is, I don't even want to walk in there. I'm sorry. I'm just, right? I'm just telling the truth. I didn't want to walk in there because there was nothing attractive about this place at all. Yeah. Again, the hearts are in the right place. The staff that worked there were good people, right? But do you think we could have provided something a little bit better for these women? It's like none of them hadn't seen a dentist in 10 years. Yeah. Their kids look like they hadn't taken a bath in 5 years, and it's like who's minding the store here?
New Perceptions North, the premier drug and alcohol treatment and recovery center in Central California. A full continuum of medically supervised top quality care with programs for detox and patient residential treatment with dual diagnosis, intensive outpatient treatment, sober living support groups, and more. New Perceptions North provides adult men and women with the highest caliber of professional health care, treating each client with compassion and respect in a safe, comfortable environment to begin the process of recovery to proudly create and sustain a life without addiction. Call 559-978-1507 or visit newperceptionsnorth.com.
I think the problem is that most of these people are homeless, and so when you give them
a roof,
it's like, well, at least you have a roof, and it's not a tent.
Yeah.
But I mean, they're the same degree of cleanliness, but one's a room and one's a tent. And we have to think of things differently because, I think about my own recovery. When I was using, I was fine sleeping. Like I remember a couple of times I slept in my friend's backyard on his hammock because I didn't want to be home because of my family, and they didn't want me home. And so I was fine sleeping on a hammock in somebody else's backyard more than sleeping in my own bed because I didn't want to stop using.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got into treatment, like being in a nice home, I was at the Hanford house, and it had a pool. We had a chef. Like, bro, it was awesome. And for that month, like, I really needed that because I seriously, especially for the first almost 2 weeks, I could barely take a shower. I could barely get out of bed without feeling like my bones were falling apart.
Right.
And I would have had a much worse experience if I didn't feel clean. Like, I remember that was a huge thing. It took a few days before I could shower because I would shake too much from the withdrawals. But once I was able to shower, I would take a hot shower every night and get into bed. And I remember that feeling, like that was the only maybe 10 minutes in the entire day that I'd get a sense of reprieve was right after I took a shower. I'd get dressed and lay in bed, and for like 10 minutes the withdrawals I wouldn't physically feel it. And that was like the peak of every day of my first 2 weeks, and then eventually I started eating, and like all these little things played a major factor in my happiness in such a dark time and shitty situation. And so we shouldn't be relying on it's better than a tent. It
Right.
should be, we should try to give them the best that they could possibly have, because that's the first introduction a lot of people have into sobriety. If you're thinking sobriety's a little bit better, why are you going to do it? Because when you're using, you don't care where you are. When you're sober, you do care.
Yeah.
So you want it to be a significant enough difference to where someone doesn't want to go back. They care too much to go back, and it's too pleasant to go back to something worse.
Look, there is, and I felt the same way when I went to Betty Ford. There's something about taking that evening shower and jumping into clean sheets.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a certain smell, pleasant smell about jumping into clean sheets, and after you get out of the shower, that you just go, oh wow. And again, that's hitting our dopamine, right? And it's just exploding in us, and that's what it's all about. If you bring somebody in off the street and they're dirty and you haven't given them a shower and you haven't given them a toothbrush and you haven't fed them, okay, I don't care what bed you're putting them in, all right, it's still going to feel like they're sleeping outside in the street somewhere.
Yeah.
So and again, like I said, I'm not trying to put neighborhoods down or anything else, but the reality is, okay, it's time that we start treating all people with some respect and some dignity, all right? But in our case now, that's what we're doing. We're moving towards the vets and seeing what we can do in our small way here to help them and to help them get a leg up, all right? And hopefully, because if you guys remember, when those vets walked in, at least in my opinion, I didn't see anybody jonesing. I didn't see anybody high. Mm-hmm. Okay, I mean, unless they're hiding it real well.
Noticeably high,
okay, but noticeably high. I didn't see that. I didn't hear one vulgarity come out of any of their mouths.
No.
It was yes, sir, no, sir, thank you. Okay, now there was a couple of them that were awfully quiet, but that's okay. There's nothing wrong with being quiet, and grateful.
Yeah.
And grateful.
Yeah.
They just were just good people. So now we're going to sit here and we're going to ask Fresno to step up.
Yeah.
Okay? And let's see if we can do this thing. Because like you said, we just don't want to say, okay, here's a bed for the night.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? We want to be able to get this to the point where we've got several, if not more of these, where these guys can stay 6 months, can stay a year, and start to rebuild their life again.
Absolutely.
And be able to offer them some sort of job somewhere, if that's what they want. I don't even know if some of them are capable of working.
A lot of them can get because when I worked in treatment before, we helped a lot of vets. Most of the time, they can get into a treatment center, like a private pay treatment center with the VA insurance. You have to do a single case agreement.
Yes, you do.
And they'll do usually it's like 90 days at a time that the VA will approve,
right? Which
is really good for them. They get extended stay. But a major thing is that a lot of these people haven't worked in years, and they get so accustomed to being homeless that it's more comfortable for them. So I think that, and this is something that I talked to Jason about too, is that I think this is my personal opinion about it, is that I think because they go from being active duty to veterans, they don't have that same discipline that they did when they were active duty. Mm-hmm. You have this very specific regimen that you have to follow every day or you get punished. And I think that we need to be able to implement that somewhat forcefully on them. If they come in, we give them a set rules, and they either get a benefit when they complete these rules, or they get a negative of a warning, possibly leaving if they're don't do what they're supposed to do for an extended period of time. And I think that's what really helps people get back on track, is that structure, and whether they're able to work or not, we help them find jobs, we help them build a new routine, whatever that looks like, because a lot of them get disability and get payments to be able to live by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and they just need to be retaught how to live. And one thing that I think is, I don't want to turn this political or anything, but every single year we pay more and more of our tax money goes to Fresno County to help the homeless problem. And every single year, more and more people are homeless. So I think that
you're right.
Obviously, it's a broken system. Every single person that works in public relations in regards to the homeless population, they all have an incentive of not only not doing their jobs, but making the problem worse, because they get a raise, they continue to be employed. For us, we only stay employed if we help people. And so I think that, we want to encourage a lot of people to donate, and the difference between donating to Fresno County people and donating to us is that our jobs rely on us actually helping people.
Absolutely.
And their jobs rely on more people becoming homeless.
Well said, by the way. Well said. There's nothing wrong with making that political, all right, because I'm all over that one.
Well, it's just the truth.
Well, it is the truth. But
I think it's just calling a spade a spade.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any politics involved in there at all.
But the gentleman that we're going to be working with here, he's a vet, and he's also has 12 years of sobriety. And awesome. which is really cool, and he's one hell of a golfer. I gotta say. But he made a great point yesterday. He said a lot of vets are gun shy of calling the VA. And asking for help or going in there to try to get help because everything takes so long. Everything gets dragged out. They just don't get what they need soon enough. So a lot of them are gun shy. So it might that's why I think it's going to be important again for this to be even though we're a nonprofit, this is going to be a private endeavor.
Yes.
Okay, to try and to help these individuals. I think that's important. Yeah. I think a lot of times with vets, when they hear the government's involved, I think they just kind of shy away from it like, oh, what are you going to promise me now and not give me?
If you or a loved one is struggling with addiction, please call PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, at 559-579-1551 or visit us online at painnonprofit.org. Follow us on social media on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at Pain Nonprofit. And please subscribe to the Don't Hide the Scars podcast and share with others wherever you get podcasts and on YouTube. And if you would like to donate to PAIN, Parents and Addicts in Need, please click the link in the description to make your tax-deductible donation today and help us save more lives gripped by addiction.
Because their entire life is that experience.
That's their experience.
Sign up for the military at 18, and their entire time in the military is waiting a year to get an answer back for something, and then when they leave, it's the same thing from the VA.
Yeah. So I think this is again, I believe that this is going to be something that that's going to be successful. But we're going to need the help of the citizens of Fresno. To get these things done, because again, everybody's heart is in the right place when you start talking about vets, right? But are we really seeing a change? Are we really seeing a difference? Are we really seeing, the goodness coming out in people and help? I'm sorry. If things were getting better, they would be getting better, and we would be able to see it. But we're not seeing it, so there it is.
Yeah, and by no means is this attack on the VA. We know and understand, and the amazing people that we met, how they're understaffed, underfunded.
Absolutely.
They do everything. All those people we met, their heart is in the right place.
You bet it is,
because their heart's in the right place. There was no question that they were there getting food, checking.
When we talk about this, it's not about the individuals; it's about the policies.
Yeah,
of the Veterans Administration. Yes. That's what it is.
The same thing with when I say about the Fresno County, it's not
right.
It's not the person, the counselor for these vets in whatever facility that they have. It's always the supervisor of the entire program is the one who benefits from the program continuing to go.
Or it was whoever designed the program to begin with.
Yeah.
And my mind goes to, it's like a stupid rule. A stupid rule needs to be broken.
Yeah,
so if it's a stupid policy, fix the policy.
Yeah.
For God's sake, it can't. It can't be that damn difficult.
Yeah.
And if it is, then keep going, keep working at it, get it done.
Yeah,
that's all.
And at the end of the day, when we privately, like you said, and that's what this is about asking, all of our fellow citizens, help us. It might be volunteer,
right?
What is it at church? It's ties and talents, right? Okay. So maybe your talent is to come in and help. Maybe it isn't just financial. Maybe it's
and that's fine.
The time of coming in and helping in some way, shape, or form.
Right.
Maybe
we need a lawnmower donated. Right? No, seriously. Yeah. Because all that stuff costs money. Because again, when you're doing homes like this for these vets, I'm sorry, they're not going to get a gardener.
Yeah.
Okay. because we want to teach them how. It's the old saying, right? I mean, you teach somebody to fish so they know how to catch a fish.
Yeah.
Right? So, and again, with a lot of these individuals, you have to start over again. You have to teach them just the basic stuff.
Yeah. Because
half the time, these guys, just like us, and when we're in our using, what, do you think we were going to go out and mow a lawn?
Yeah.
No. I mean, come on.
Well, and I know when I've talked to a friend of mine who served in the Middle East, and some of his struggles still are is that his wife has to kind of remind him to revert back from a feral state. His words, not mine, because he was sleeping out in a foxhole for days on end where they never left that thing. They're cramped up and they're trying to move, and you fill in all the blanks of imagination and how they were relieving themselves, whatever it is, the eating and all these things. And it's just, some of it, he said he understands it now. He's a sheriff. And he said when he goes and speaks, how they reverted to it because it was very much of what they were trained to do.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. And they're leaving a state of when they were a soldier, Julian, like you were saying, some of them were in charge of heavy artillery, equipment, responsibility, and now it's just here it is, and it's hard for them to get back into a place. And as you mentioned, maybe they were really young and never had it.
Yeah.
As we know, many people that we've met that are veterans that are in need right now, they left bad home environments to try to better their life. So they've never had any sort of organization of, boy, how do I cook for myself, clean for myself? How do I,
That's
they've
the
never
thing.
gone through it.
Imagine an 18-year-old leaves home at 18, goes to the military, is trained to live on the bare minimum to get through a war zone, and then they have all these responsibilities and the authority of their commanding officer to hold him together, and you put him back in bring him back home, and what do they know? To live on barely anything to get by, and now you've taken away all their responsibility, all their purpose. So now that's why they're so comfortable being homeless, because while they were in the military, that's what they were trained to do. But you took away the one thing that was keeping them together and keeping them motivated for something better. And so what we have to do is to give them back that purpose and teach them how to live a more comfortable life.
Yeah.
I remember one time right here out in front of the office, this has got to be, I don't know, 8 years ago, something like that. I walk up, it's like I'm here early, which I'm never here early. It's like 7:30 in the morning.
Oh, that is early.
That is very early.
Oh yeah, that's like just a stupid hour of the day. But I had to get here for something, and I see this kid. The bushes out here to the side were a little more overgrown, and I see this kid walk out of the bushes. And obviously he was going to the bathroom, and he had this look on his face of just embarrassment, right? And I go, hey man, no, don't worry about it. I go, do you need to use the bathroom? I got the key, because the doors were locked, right? And then I look at this kid and I go, man, I know you from somewhere. And I go, did you play baseball in high school? Because he looked like he was about, I don't know, maybe early 20s now. And he goes, yeah. He goes, I played baseball at Clovis West. And I go, did you graduate in 05? And he goes, yeah, I did. And I go, all right, my younger son played baseball against you. My younger son went to Bullard. And we exchanged names, and he goes, yeah, I know who he is. And I go, man, what's going on? And he goes, well, he says, I joined the military out of high school, all right, and a few things went south, and I got injured, and I started using Oxy, and here I am.
It's a very, very common story.
Very common story. So we talked for a few minutes, and I said, look, man, if you're in this area, you ever got to use the bathroom, I said, just come walk into my office. I said, we'll give you the key, And then I gave him a little bit of money. I said, go down to the hotel down the street here, stay a couple days. It's on me. Take a shower. Here's some money for food, whatever. And he thanked me very much. But the point here is that I've never seen him since.
Yeah.
Okay. Don't know where he wound up. But this kid, seriously, he joined when he was 18. I think I don't know, so he must have been 22 or 23.
Probably medically discharged.
Probably medically discharged along the way. And God only knows where he is today.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's dead, alive, who knows?
Well, that's the importance of the part of the program that we're doing is giving out Narcan, because we don't know how many of these people are just going to be picked up by an ambulance one day and never even have their body identified because no one knows where they are.
Because nobody knows where they are. That's exactly right. So this is a good thing, that we're going to do, and it's like I said, it's time, and we're grateful for all those people out there that are already helping our vets. But we also, let's not leave out the women in this, okay? Because we are going to have some availability for women sober living as well. And I mean, we're calling them sober livings, right? But in essence, they're kind of a sober living, transitional living, housing. Because I'm sure there's some that aren't, addicted to anything. I'm sure there's a lot of vets out there that are just homeless, and maybe it's a mental health issue, instead of a substance abuse issue. But regardless, I want to get some doctors on board here with this, that aren't over-prescribing doctors, and again, it's just time we as a city, the city of Fresno and the county of Fresno, that we actually really let's do something. Yeah. Okay. Let's just do something, because, and again, I hate to interrupt, but it's like in San Francisco. Remember when we're talking to Tom Wolf, right? And they provide all the housing for everybody. You just can't give the housing to somebody and say, "We did our job. Good for you. Good luck to you. We'll see you down the road."
Yeah.
You can't.
It's the narrow-sightedness of housing's a problem. You got housing? No, it's not gonna. It's not gonna be enough.
That's exactly the mindset of how most government
counties,
government, whatever state look at the situation. Is that okay? We have a homeless problem, so all we need to do is find them a house. Now they can shower, get a job, and But that's not the root of the issue, how they got there in the first place. Because they're comfortable sleeping anywhere, like I said. Right. They've been trained to sleep in a
kitty litter box if they had to.
I mean, think about when most of these soldiers have gone to Afghanistan. They're living in houses that have just been blown to bits. They're probably laying on concrete, going to sleep in a sack.
Yeah.
So giving them a bed is not going to be
not the answer.
What's going to get them back into a functioning member of society. What the main thing that they're missing is that purpose that they developed while they were in the military, and partially I think the authority of having someone to tell them what to do, especially at the beginning. They need to have someone to say, "Hey, this is what you need to do. You need to wake up at this time, clean these things, keep your house maintained, and look for a job." Yeah, because that was the things that for me I thought were so stupid at the beginning when I got sober, but they were truly the foundation of my own personal discipline. Was making my bed every morning, brushing my teeth, taking a shower, waking up at a certain time. These were
keeping your room clean.
Yeah, these are all the small things that allowed me to build a bigger routine that eventually led me to where I'm at now.
Absolutely. So that's the good news. So that's our goal for 2025, and so eventually, here in the next couple of days, the GoFundMe site will be up.
Yep.
And we're going to start taking donations for that. And so, again, please give us a hand with this, because we're not going to stop, hopefully, till we get it accomplished.
Yep. And those details, of course, in the podcast description, as always. Julian, anything you want to add?
Nah. That was good. Everything I already said, yeah.
All right. Mr. Andersen, take us home.
No, that's just it. It's like I said, we've got some really great people out there that not only are listeners and people that know that when we say we're going to do something, we're going to do it, but we definitely need everybody's help on this. Yeah. Okay, we definitely do. again, for whatever reasons, this is something that has just hit me like a ton of brick. And anyway, it's time to step up. So let's step up and let's get it done.